Hello, welcome to another Gunns Contractors video, and thought I'd better just do an update of what I'm up to. Been a bit quiet recently on YouTube, sadly, and there is a reason for that, and I just thought I'd explain really how things are going and some of the struggles, I guess, with running your own business ultimately. As you can see, doing a bit of combining at the moment. That's my favourite summer pastime, and this all sort of ties in. The reason I do this job and others, you know, you've got to have fingers in multiple pies for things, because you never know when something good is going to come to an end, I guess. I think the last video I did was at JCB. They invited us up to see the new backhoe product, which was excellent day out. That was great fun. A few other YouTubers and I guess influencers you'd call us. I don't really like that term, but I guess it's the fact of modern life. But yeah, good to see the new backhoe, and it's something that I've been really looking at myself for a good few months now, you know, thinking about how I can always push on the business and what I can offer. Ultimately, as a one-man army, there is only so much you can do, and you've got to find your sweet spot, I guess, really, with it. I can only drive one machine at once, and yeah, you know, it's a big investment to get a new backhoe, so it's something that's definitely still on the cards. I've got some ideas for what I can do with the backhoe, but especially these new dual drive ones and the options that a front quick hitch would give me, no doubt. But yeah, it's a big investment, and really the reason I haven't got one or placed an order yet is because the work's really changed for me in the last few months, and that's the reality of business, isn't it, really? I, as you know, do a lot of work at a private school, which has been a great contract for the last few years, and has allowed me really to grow my business to what you see today. You know, these machines, you know, that you can't just sort of have multiple machines as an owner operator. You can only drive one thing. Doing a lot of this price work has allowed me to justify getting more machines, the roller, you know, a couple of diggers now. Even the 3CX itself really was bought because of, you know, that school work, and that was the main reason I got that machine. Spending a lot of time travelling around that site, but on the school side, the work has completely stopped, and that's because of the threat of VAT being applied to school fees. So, you know, whatever your politics and whichever way you sit on that, for me, it has sadly absolutely stopped all of the investment work that they are doing. And I think what's interesting, when you know what's behind that, that doesn't mean to say it won't, you know, it's gone forever, but certainly at the moment, it's not, you know, it's just not what it was. They're still going to want this work done, but it's on hold for now until they know the answer to what that is going to look like to them and what the impact on the school is. But either way, it's not there at the moment, and I have gone from, well, normally I'd have worked there sometimes from sort of June, certainly into, you know, early July, into January, you know, at least February, and even then gone back at Easter time. Yeah, sure. Yeah, hang up the end. I'll tip the rest in. Just keep in touch with your grain carter. Yeah, so it's going to come back. The work will come back. I hope it comes back my way. Of course, there's no guarantee, is there? But for now, I've basically this year lost probably 70% of the sort of relatively stable work that I had, and it's had a big impact on my business, as well as the videos I've been able to film and other things. So the reality is there are, of the machines I own, the roller, it hasn't been out this year. It's left the yard once, but basically for a job for free, certainly not paying. The roller hasn't gone anywhere. The dumper hasn't done anything this year. Don't think it's even left the shed. And my 18Z, very similar, hasn't done any work this year, nor has my tractor, which I know you don't see a lot of on the channel, but it's a very handy tool to have around. It does a little bit of farming, fed some of my cattle, but it's not, it's not going out and doing any of the sports turf work or any of that, because that's all just dried up for me. So that's really the main thing, the challenge I've had this year, and as a reason, I always keep my hand in different pies. So
you need to go right, Ollie, and then we can do it on the way back. Keep moving.
Yeah, sure, that works for me.
Alrighty.
Yeah, Chester just doing a bit of thinking. If he waits at the end of this row, we can't keep the combine moving and unload at the same time, which obviously is inefficient, and we like productivity in this game. So he's thinking, and he's going to get himself lined up so that we can do the next pass, and he's then heading in the right direction towards the gateway as well, which is good thinking. Yeah. So anyway, that's just how it is. A lot of my kit, it hasn't done anything. The 8026 has done a bit of work. The backhoe's done a bit of work. In fairness, that machine is starting to justify its place in my fleet and potentially a future fleet going forward. More and more, because it is going out, and it's tough really justifying a backhoe to some new hires. Some of these landscape companies I work for, they're not, I guess they've never seen one or really working, and that's the same, I think, across the board. Different companies just, they don't really understand what you can do with them. But the more I can show it, the more I can demonstrate it, then I've got half a chance of being able to, sort of show them and justify maybe the investment in a new one. But for now, I've just spent a couple of grand servicing it up, sorting a couple of bits that were absolutely fine, to be honest, but sort of preventative maintenance. It's good to do a bit of preventative maintenance on things just to make sure it's kept reliable. And she's been out on a job for the last 4 weeks, to be honest. In between combining, I've been out on the backhoe. So it works there, and there is plenty of work. I've got a couple of little price jobs that there's a little garage base to do in a couple of weeks' time. Little things really, but that big staple work has just gone for me, sadly, for now, and it will be interesting if it comes back. That's great. There is potential to possibly get in with another school, but they're all having similar issues really, until they know what the the legislation will be and how the VAT will work for them. They're obviously unsure about investing and or holding back because they think it's going to be cheaper when they do. So that's really how it's been, and that's why I keep a broad range of people that I work for. It's the reason I do Chelsea, and in a way why I do YouTube. I've gained some jobs off of doing this. You've got to across things, different industries, because one will die off and another one will pick up. You've got to kind of be able to be quick and pivot, put all your eggs in one basket, and it's great while it lasts, but it doesn't always last. So that's another reason I do the farming, as you see, and I do the landscaping, and I do a bit of work myself, and all of that, because ultimately, you never know what's going to happen. So, yeah, if you run your own business, or you're thinking of running your own business, that's certainly a lesson I've learned. Is variety is the key to keeping yourself busy, and it mitigates that risk of a job just suddenly disappearing and pulling from your feet, which I've certainly had in this year, sadly. So I don't know what I'm going to do with some of my kit. I have thought about selling it. Sort of part of me thinks, you know, do I sell it, don't I? The jobs may well come back. Then I'll think, God, I could do with the roller again, for example, you know. But you know, another part of me thinks, well, sell that and sell me 18Z and sell some other bits and maybe get, you know, sort of a few grand sort of towards maybe a new 4CX or something. That would also work. But yeah, at the moment, until I know where things are going, and you know, take a few months, I can afford to have them sat around for a few months. They're costing insurance, but ultimately I'm lucky. I own them. You know, I've paid for them, and so they're not really depreciating, sat there not doing anything. That is the one good thing about plant machinery. No doubt they'll break. All stuff breaks. But I guess all the time they're not being used, they can't break. So yeah, who knows? Anyway, so that's what's been going on. But going into the future, it's looking like it could be a pretty strong end to the year. I mean, we're sat here in the middle of August, you know, sun's out, beautiful day, out on the combine, but it turns fast in this game. September will be upon us quickly, and the weather starts diminishing pretty quick, doesn't it? So I've got some things coming up. Got a couple of big landscaping jobs I'm working on for people, sort of as part of their team, back to owner operating really, and that's good. I'm quite happy with that. It's where I started, and really, you know, it's bread and butter work, isn't it? Not massively profitable, certainly doesn't. You know, it ticks things over, but you have too many overheads, i.e. parked up machines, and that soon starts eroding your margin. But yeah, it's good for now, and you never know what other opportunities can come from that. You know, there is always the opportunity to price different elements of work depending on who you work for. Try and earn yourself a little bit more money out of it, or put in some extra hours, or, you know, all of these things are options, aren't they? But I'm also going to the Futurescape show that's in October. I think it's the 15th to 16th of October at the XL in London. That's a big sort of indoor landscaping show. Great time to have it indoors because the weather's normally diminishing off by that point. And I'm doing a couple of sort of speech or key talks, I guess they call them, speeches really, but discussion panels with some other fellow industry colleagues and friends really, one of which is the boss I worked for when I was starting out in landscaping. And we're going to talk about digital construction digital construction in landscaping really. You know, you've got to think this industry's a bit behind, sadly, a lot of where the industry in construction is, and I'm trying, along with a few others, to sort of try and get us to a point where I could actually go out and use 3D really in a landscaping situation. Some of these jobs now are, you know, the work it's ridiculous how much money people are spending on their garden. Certainly no shortage of money there, but you know, for me, I just think I see what can be achieved on the construction side, the civil side, and I think this is where I want to be, even if it's with a mini digger, which sounds ridiculous, but I just think we spend so much time setting out, resetting things, and the margins of error that they now want with some of the materials we have to work with, you know, they're getting tighter and tighter, and designs are getting more complex. They're always complicated levels. It's all doable, of course it is, with string lines, tape measures, and you know, a dumpy level really if you wanted to. But you know, lasers have brought a new they're not new now, are they, but they've brought another edge to it, and the lasers and the 2D software that I already run is brilliant, and it's fantastic, and for the price point maybe that's where it wants to be. But there is also part of me that thinks, well, you know, I've pushed 2D, I went 2D, and it's been really successful. People are rightly going down that route as well and copying me, but it takes away the edge, doesn't it? You know, where are you going next, Ollie? What's your next thing? And for me, I think 3D and being a bit more sort of on it with the setting out, the ability to set out and also map existing sometimes is another edge, and it's another edge to the business that, you know, if something got quiet on the machines front for whatever reason, you could go out surveying, you could drop into some other different works. I don't know, the idea of taking the dome off the machine, using it in different situations, it gives you that flexibility to do a variety of different stuff that may or may not be useful to you at the time, but who knows what it might be in the future. And, you know, iDigger have got that system. There's a few others that have that system as well. I'm not just sort of, you know, tied to iDigger as such, but yeah. Anyway, we're going to do a talk on that. I know Paul Cowell is probably the guy who's the closest to doing 3D modelling. Well, he is doing 3D modelling. It's how he's selling gardens to customers. He can do these visual walkthroughs of the garden, different times of day. You know, really, really clever. And that's great on a customer side, but from a contractor, you know, you ask me to do a job, he can tell me now, well, we can sit there in his office and he can go, right, I've got this much cut to do, we've got this much material to move over here. And, you know, he may be plus or minus 10% maybe, but that's pretty accurate. In terms of what it'll actually be on the job, and I bet it'd be less than 10% really if you if you actually went and did the exercise and did the job and calculated it, because, you know, the calculator says one thing, material densities and things can change stuff, it being wet, dry, all of these little variables, but I bet he's not a million miles off with the calculations. You can't be. If you dig it, if he models it right, he knows the levels are going to work. There should be very little variation. The customer is happy with what they're going to have before a bucket even gets put in the ground. For me, it would remove so much of the, you know, build something, oh, I'm not sure I like that, or can that be a bit bigger, which sounds ridiculous, but goes on all the time in this high-end landscaping world that I kind of seem to have got myself into. So to me, it would save a lot of rework. I think customers would be, you know, happier, and maybe could see and justify spending some money on an element because they can almost see it, you know, in VR essentially, before, you know, investing in you know, guys on the ground and building it. So it'd be really interesting to see where that technology goes, and it's something that I am still looking into. There's issues with trees, buildings, the stuff that we have to work up very close to that maybe a lot of the construction guys don't have such an issue with, but I think the technology will constantly improve. Certainly the correction signal, which is the key really to that, you know, will get better. And yeah, you know, look where we've come in 5 years. It'd be interesting to see where we are in another 5 years. So it might not be quite right at the right time. Certainly got to get a lot of designers working in 3D like Paul does and designing in that way. Some of them are, you know, essentially still using pen and paper, and I can't put that into my 3D system. So that's another area I'm kind of looking into, and always making sure that I'm abreast of it and trying to kind of push it forward really. So it'd be interesting to have a conversation with designer. There's going to be me as essentially a you know, a construction sort of end user of this stuff. A couple of other people as well who are sort of part of a product as well, software product that will help with all of that. So be interesting. Should be an interesting chat. Anyway, that's a Futurescape. I'll also be there. I think you can have a good look around as such, and yeah, always looking to see what's about, what's available, and that'd be a good laugh. I'm going to bugger myself up here if I go that way, aren't I? I see. This is the thing with the combine, you can only empty yourself to the left, and I definitely will need to empty on this next pass. And currently I've got this insect block here. These are strategic bits of land that are sort of given as a bit of an insect strip really, to try and increase yield. It's quite an interesting idea, because the field's very big, and you know your insects aren't going to pollinate plant in the middle of it if they can't sort of get there, and you know they like a bit of variety, don't we all? So yeah, interesting bit of modern farming technique there. But I better go down this block, otherwise I can't unload my combine. These are all the things you have to think about when you're doing this, and of course filming a video at the same time makes it a bit trickier. I expect Paul's laughing at me in the tractor. Yeah, so that's what's coming up anyway. Got some work, you know, as I say, there's plenty of work about, but it's just a little bit different really, and you have to travel a bit further for it, and sort of take what's out there. Very grateful to my existing clients, of course, for people that, you know, sometimes sort of probably wish I was more available to do work for them, no doubt. But you know, got to do what you can, and who knows what the rest of the year will bring. Certainly not over yet. But anyway, just thought I'd do a bit of an update where things are, and yeah, the reason you probably haven't seen a huge amount from us. Some of these projects as well, difficult, or you can't film on them because of stupid clauses and contracts, and you know people don't want people seeing what they're up to or whatever. It's always a bit of a balance, but yeah. Anyway, good luck to those people as well that have contacted me who are looking to start a business at the moment. You know, there's never a great time, is there? But there's also no time like the present. So yeah, by all means, people are thinking about that. You know, I'll try and get back to you where I can if you ever have any questions. A few people contacted me about tilt rotators recently. It's good to see that my videos that I put out, you know, all them years ago now, really are helping people, because I wish that I had that help when I was initially looking to buy one, because they're a complicated thing. There's lots of different ways you can have them set up, and depending on what you want to do in your machine and all of that stuff that I've already covered. So yeah, fair play to the people looking to invest. I hope it works out for you. And there's lots of options now. I think the market's getting better. It feels less like a start, you know, like you're the first person, you're sort of, you know, maybe forging a path, and more now like there's actually, you know, several good options and setups that you can kind of go with and see that are proven. Really, I can't see a thing out that wing mirror. It's really dusty this crop, and I'm actually going to have to go and clean my windows again, because they started off clean this morning, but I can barely see out the side window as I look over to you now, especially with the sun glaring on it. Anyway, so yeah, that's my update really. Don't have something else particularly going on. That's the thing. Just flat out at it. Hope everyone else is busy. I know it's been a bit of a strange year. There's certainly been a bit of stock back in dealers. Popped into Green Shields the other day, pick something up. Bought a couple of new attachments for the JCB, and yeah, there's a ton of mini diggers in there. So either somebody's expecting a very large order, or I'd say they got a bit of stock. So you wouldn't have found a 1.5 tonner in stock anywhere 2 years ago, would you? And I have seen that prices of kit are just starting to come down a bit. Yeah, coming down in terms of they're saying, oh, there's an offer on, but fundamentally the price is coming down, isn't it? Back to a kind of more normal price. I don't think it'll ever reach the pre-2020 levels, and you know, the costs, input costs, etc., materials and labour and everything is now more expensive. You know, we've had a few years of pretty high inflation, but it's never going to get down to that. But it just seems a bit more reasonable now, so that might help businesses. And as you say, looking to invest, you're looking to start a new business. Costs are slowly coming down a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see what happens to materials on that. All about demand, supply and demand, isn't it, really? Anyway, I got a lot more of this field to go. It's gone 6:10. We're probably be at it long into night.
I'll take a bit more early when we get towards the end of this run.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll crack on, and yeah, hope you're all busy out there. I'll see you in the next video.